Welcome back to another video. Today I'll be predicting and previewing the Bradford City 2023-24 League 2 campaign. Let me know your predictions going into the season in the comments down below. Who's going to be the top goal scorer and get the golden boot for Bradford City? Most assists, player of the season, young player of the season, most improved player of the season, surprise standout, best signing, fan favourite, and who's going to be the flop. Now I don't really want to do the flop because it's negative and it's trying to judge a player before we've seen him in League 2 action, and it's just off pre-season or transfer, how they're perceived by the actual transfer itself. So it's hard to sort of predict that. And the table, where do you think we'll come in the top? Well, I say top 7. It's not guaranteed, but where do you think we're going to come in League 2 next season? So for me, I'll just get started away with the golden boot. It's got to be Andy Cook, and it'd be lucky to get anywhere near 25, I think, this season. I think if we can still get to 15, 20 goals, that's a big contribution still. We need other players to chip in around him, and hopefully we've recruited that. I don't think we have, to be honest. I still think we're 3 or 4 players light. Maybe we definitely need a left wing back. We need probably another centre back, judging by a couple of their performances in pre-season. I think we still need a striker who gives us something different. If Jake Young and Oliver goes, that only gives us 3 strikers. And then I think we need a winger as well who can give us, again, something different so we can adapt in game, because we only have Harry Chapman and he's injured and he's got an investigation going on. So I think there's still a lot of work to be done in the window, and I'm not too keen on when Mark Hughes is coming so relaxed about the transfer window. But on Golden Boot, I still think there's no one who could get near to Andy Cook in this squad in terms of getting the top goal scorer for us. Most assists, Pattinson, Walker, maybe even Aladi or Yogoki. We're not going to be playing with any wingers, so we're relying on midfielders, which, again, like I say, with the recruitment, we need really attacking full wing backs if we're going to be playing with this 3-5-2, because if not, it's coming all centrally. Rideout ain't going to be an attacking force. Halliday is probably better defensively, to be honest. And then Oyegoke, we still don't know if he's okay or not. So, you've got Pattinson. I'd probably give it to Pattinson. Walker is a bit too inconsistent to probably be dishing out any pre-season awards to him. I think Pattinson's obviously got a great record at Harrogate in terms of contributing going forward with his, with his numbers, his goal scoring numbers and his assist numbers. And we've seen in pre-season, but he likes to get, in the penalty box and just around it to create chances. So I'm going to give my most assist to Pattinson. Player of the season, I think it's got to be Harry Lewis for me. I mean, it could be Andy Cook, but I think with how we've seen his 3-5-2 form, with our defensive frailties that we've seen in these games, I think Harry Lewis could be vital in terms of keeping clean sheets and making some important saves, one-on-ones and shots outside from the box. He could be vital to us this season, and I've got to give him player of the season for that, because when you look at the way we press in pre-season with Ash Taylor, Kelly, Stubbs or Platt in that back 3, you're going to be caught in behind a lot. So that means Harry Lewis has got to stand tall and make up some massive saves this next season. So I think he's going to save us a lot more points than maybe an Andy Cook is going to win us some at the other end of the pitch. So for me, player of the season at the minute is going towards Harry Lewis. Young player of the season, it's tough because I think to give the young player of the season, I'd say that you've got to be under 23 at the end of the season, which means there's no one in the first 11 or even what you consider to be what our bench would be at the beginning of the season. So I'm going to give it to Bobby Poynton. Obviously showed great promise in pre-season. I hadn't really seen him too much before this pre-season. Obviously last season he got a couple of minutes in pre-season, then had a few loan spells, and I think he got a few injuries as well. So it was hard to keep track of how we were doing. But seeing the training clips, seeing how he's actually done in the pre-season games, he has looked one of our better players. So I would give it to Poynton, although he could go out on loan and ruin that. So it's hard to give it because he's our only player under the age of 23 who's had any minutes. Most improved player for me, I'd give it to Timmy Odesina, because pre-season he's looked one of our better players. He's vital to our system, playing his 3 at the back, because when we're pressing, he's the only centre back that's got pace in the football club, unless we play like an Oyegoki in centre back who hasn't looked convincing there. So yeah, he could be vital, like I say, because we do need pace back there. He's also looked pretty good on the ball. He probably should have got more games last season, but if it weren't for Critchlow, Stubbs and Platt forming the solid partnerships with each other, he might have got another look in. But with a three at the back, Hartlepool, he played on the left side with it, and they did say, the Hartlepool fans, that he did look a bit shaky in the two, but in the three he looked more comfortable, and with his pace he could recover for other people's mistakes, and he had more time on the ball. So I think it could really help him. The next one is surprise standout, which is pretty much very similar to most improved and surprise standout, because it's a bit of a surprise that he stood out because he's improved so much. But I'm going to give it to Tyler Smith because it's unfair to give it to the same player. I think he's going to be in the shadow to Andy Cook, and he is going into the season as it is in the right system and the right amount of game time. I think he could play himself into some form. He's obviously had some shaky spells over his time in the AFL, playing for Bristol Rovers, not getting much game time over there. Oxford, I think he only played 7 games last season. So if he gets the game time, if he gets in the right system and gets, if Mark Hughes can get the best out of him, I think he could be a surprise standout and hopefully contribute enough goals, to make up for the players to make up for Andy Cook when he ain't firing. Like, no one did stand out last season when Andy Cook wasn't on form, and that's why we were Andy Cook FC. The best signing for me is that Alex Pattinson, I'd say, is in the top 5 EFL signings this season. There's obviously some big signings to come from, so that's how highly I rate him. Coming from Harrogate, playing as a box-to-box player, very dynamic, tenacious, and I think that's why he would be the fan favourite going into next season as well. Like I say, he's tenacious, he gets forward, he takes risks in the final third, great ball carrier, gets in and around the penalty box, but like I say, he is tenacious, he does get back and track back and defend and will help out Smallwood. So I'm really excited about Pattinson. He's coming in with a lot of hype, and I think I'd give him the fan favourite, because I think if he does all those things, if he does turn out to be the player we hope he will be and the player that he is expected to be, I think he could be one to be to be excited about, but also he embodies what Bradford City players and midfield players should be about. Flop, then I don't really want to name a flop, but the 2 players who have least impressed me in pre-season and least impressed me when we actually signed the players is Clark Odra and Ash Taylor. Now, Ash Taylor in pre-season, I mean, if you're out on Twitter, I mean, there's some awful clips and photographs of him playing players miles onside. He's all over the place. He's a bit clunky. He looks a bit stiff. He looks way off the pace, and I don't think he'll be any good on the ball either. He looks really off the pace and poor. Northampton fans, that they despise him. They think he was terrible over there. He's obviously had his better spells in Scotland. Watched many of Scotland's, premierships. I don't know what that division's like in terms of intensity, but I'm guessing it's quite a slow division. Against the bigger teams, like when you come up against Wrexham and he's up against Ollie Palmer, for example, I think he'll do better in those games where he can get physical and get tight. But against your championship oppositions, where the pacey strikers who are turning you before you've even blinked, I think that he's going to struggle in those. So he could be a good asset, but it could also be a bit of a Ben Richards Everton as well, where he struggles with the pace, and but he's a unit, and that's why he only gets picked. And Clark Odra, I think if he gets played as a winger, high up in the field, I think he could be a much better player than when he's playing as a wing back, because he don't look confident or comfortable in that position. But I already said that in my last video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. So table prediction then, I'm predicting us to get 7th. I think we've got to get in the playoffs, otherwise Mark Hughes is to be gone. I think we've also got to go up, or Mark Hughes has got serious questions to be asked, but it's a really competitive division. I think the top 8, they're all big clubs, or big clubs that are expecting to get into a top 3, Stockport, Notts County, Gillingham, MK Dons, Wrexham, Salford, Mansfield and Duz are all expecting top 3. So it's really hard to try and be competitive and get in the top 3. I think 7th, it looks like a worse prediction than it is, and like I'm not optimistic. I'm really excited for the division and how many big clubs and good clubs they are. It's really exciting, but I do feel like we just lack a bit more quality to get maybe 5 points the difference to get into a top 3, because I think it'll be so tight. And it'll be tight in terms of the playoffs again, so it's a fine line between getting into top 3 and missing out on the playoffs entirely. It's a big season, big expectations, no more honeymoon period, and some players have got to stand and deliver this season. So let me know your predictions, your golden boot, your most assists, your young player of the season, your player of the season, your standout signing, your surprise standout, most improved player, best signing, fan favourite, and where you think we're going to come in the League 2 season for the 2023-24 campaign. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new, like the video if you did. Have a good one.